Before the Roman Colosseum became the most famous arena on Earth, this land belonged to one of the most hated emperors in Roman history, Nero. To the people of Rome, it looked like the emperor had taken the city for himself. Then Nero died. They would drain the private lake of a dead tyrant and build the largest amphitheater the Roman world had ever seen. Not for one man, for the people. This is the story of how Rome built the Colosseum, a structure so advanced, so massive, and so politically powerful that nearly 2,000 years later, it is still standing. The Colosseum was not built just because Rome wanted entertainment. It was built because Rome needed a reset. After Nero's death in AD 68, the empire fell into chaos. 4 different men claimed power in a single year. Armies fought, loyalties shifted, Rome's confidence was shaken. Then Vespasian rose to power and founded the Flavian dynasty. But he had a problem. He needed to prove that he was not Nero. Nero had taken public land and turned it into private luxury. Vespasian would take that same land and give it back to the Roman people. The Colosseum was going to be entertainment, yes, but it was also propaganda carved in stone. Every arch, every seat, every entrance, every public spectacle sent one message: the emperor serves Rome, not himself. The chosen site was symbolic, but it was also difficult. The arena would be built in a low valley between the Palatine, Esquiline, and Cælian hills. This was not a perfect stone platform. It had been part of Nero's artificial lake. That meant Roman engineers first had to drain the area, stabilize the ground, and prepare foundations strong enough to hold one of the largest buildings in the empire. The Colosseum would become an ellipse, not a perfect circle, measuring roughly 189 meters long and 156 meters wide. Its outer wall would rise about 48 meters high, roughly the height of a modern 15-story building. And the weight would be enormous: stone, concrete, brick, marble, wood, iron clamps, thousands of workers, tens of thousands of spectators. All of it had to stand on ground that once held water. This was where Roman engineering showed its real power. The first major challenge was the foundation. The Romans understood that a building this large could not simply sit on the surface. They dug deep and created a massive ring-shaped foundation beneath the amphitheater. Roman concrete was one of their greatest technologies. It was made from lime mortar, volcanic materials, stones, and aggregate. It could set hard, last for centuries, and support enormous loads. Unlike modern steel-framed stadiums, the Colosseum depended on compression. The weight pressed downward through arches, vaults, walls, and piers, spreading force through the structure like a giant stone skeleton. The Romans were not guessing. They were masters of load distribution. The entire Colosseum was designed so that weight moved through repeated structural systems: arch into pier, vault into wall, wall into foundation, foundation into earth. That is one reason the Colosseum survived earthquakes, fires, stone robbery, and nearly 2 millennia of damage. It was built with brutal structural logic. To build the Colosseum, Rome needed a mountain of materials. The most visible material was travertine limestone, quarried from the area around Tivoli, east of Rome. Travertine formed the great outer piers and much of the external structure. It gave the Colosseum its pale stone power. Inside the building, Roman engineers used tufa, brick-faced concrete, and lighter materials to reduce weight where they could. This was not random. The heavier, stronger stone was used where the structure needed maximum strength. The lighter materials were used in interior walls, corridors, and vaulting systems. The Romans were managing load, cost, speed, and durability all at once. Iron clamps helped bind stone blocks together. Marble decorated important seating zones. Brick and concrete shaped the internal maze. The Colosseum was not one material. It was a coordinated system. A stadium-sized machine made from the resources of the empire. One of the biggest misconceptions about the Colosseum is that it was simply built by slaves with brute force. The truth was more complex. The exact workforce is unknown, but a project this advanced required skilled labor at every level. Roman engineers designed the structure. Surveyors marked the geometry. Stonecutters shaped blocks. Masons assembled walls and arches. Carpenters built scaffolding, cranes, seating supports, and temporary frameworks. Metalworkers forged clamps and tools. Laborers moved stone, mixed mortar, hauled materials, and cleared debris. There may have been enslaved labor involved, and prisoners from Rome's wars may have contributed to the project, but the Colosseum could not have been built by unskilled force alone. It required organization, specialization, discipline, and Roman logistics. Imagine thousands of people working in coordinated teams, each handling one part of a repeating architectural system. One crew cuts stone, another transports it, another lifts it, another sets it, another checks alignment, another prepares the next level. That is how Rome built fast, not by chaos, by system. The secret of the Colosseum was the arch. The arch allowed the Romans to build higher, wider, and stronger than simple post and beam architecture. A flat beam can crack under heavy weight, but an arch redirects force down and outward into its supports. The Colosseum used arches again and again, stacked in levels around the entire ellipse. The outer wall had 3 major tiers of arches, with columns and decorative orders layered across the facade. The ground level used a heavier, simpler style. The second level became more refined. The third level became more ornate. The fourth level was a solid upper wall with small windows and supports for the massive awning system. This repetition gave the Colosseum its rhythm, arch after arch, bay after bay, entrance after entrance. It looked beautiful, but it was also practical. The arches reduced weight, allowed movement through the building, and created a skeleton that could support enormous crowds. This was Rome's genius, beauty and function locked together. One of the most advanced parts of the Colosseum was not the arena floor, it was crowd control. The Colosseum may have held around 50,000 or more spectators, depending on the period and arrangement. Moving that many people safely required brilliant design. The Romans created a system of entrances, corridors, stairways, and passages called vomitoria. Despite the strange modern sound of the word, vomitoria were not rooms for sickness. They were passageways that allowed crowds to pour out into and out of the seating areas. Spectators entered through numbered arches, moved into assigned corridors, climbed stairways, and emerged near their designated seats. This meant the Colosseum could fill and empty with impressive speed. It was social control through architecture. The best seats were close to the arena and reserved for elites, senators, priests, and important citizens. Higher seats were for lower social classes. At the top were the poorest spectators, and in some periods, women sat in the uppermost sections. The building did not just organize entertainment, it organized Roman society. Every person knew their place. The word arena comes from the Latin word for sand. That sand covered the wooden floor of the Colosseum. It absorbed blood, improved grip, and could be replaced after spectacles. But beneath the arena was the real machine. Below the floor were corridors, chambers, cages, lifts, ramps, and trapdoors. Animals could be hidden below, gladiators could wait out of sight. Scenery could rise into the arena. Entire spectacles could appear suddenly, as if summoned from the underworld. To the crowd, it felt supernatural. A lion could emerge from nowhere. A forest scene could appear in the middle of Rome. A condemned prisoner could face a beast that had been lifted from the darkness below. But this was not magic. It was engineering, stagecraft, and terror working together. The Colosseum was not just a building, it was a performance machine. One of the most impressive features of the Colosseum was the velarium. This was a massive retractable awning system designed to shade spectators from the Roman sun. It did not cover the entire arena like a modern roof, but it could stretch canvas over large parts of the seating area. Operating it required serious skill. The system involved masts, ropes, pulleys, and trained crews. Many historians believe sailors helped operate it, because Roman sailors were experts in rigging large canvas under wind pressure. Imagine the upper rim of the Colosseum alive with movement, ropes tightening, canvas pulling outward, crews shouting commands, wind pressing against the fabric. Below them, Thousands of spectators watch as shade spreads across the stone seating. This was luxury on a public scale. The emperor was not just giving Rome games, he was giving Rome comfort, spectacle, and imperial control. The speed of construction was astonishing. Work began under Emperor Vespasian around AD 70 to 72. By AD 80, under his son Titus, the amphitheater was ready enough to open with massive inaugural games. That means the core structure was built in roughly a decade. For a building of that size using ancient tools, that is extraordinary. But Rome had advantages: a huge labor force, standardized construction methods, powerful supply chains, advanced concrete, experienced engineers, and an empire that could move people, stone, animals, money and materials across vast distances. After Titus, Emperor Domitian added further modifications, including major developments to the underground systems and upper areas. So the Colosseum was not built in one single moment. It evolved. Vespasian began it, Titus opened it, Domitian expanded and refined it. Together, the Flavian emperors turned Nero's private lake into Rome's greatest public arena. The Colosseum was entertainment, but it was also a message. The Flavian dynasty used it to tell Rome, "We restored what Nero stole, we gave the city back to the people, we command the resources of the empire, we can build what no one else can build." Every game held inside the Colosseum reinforced that message. Wild animals from distant provinces showed the reach of Roman power. Gladiators showed discipline, violence, courage, and death under imperial control. Public executions showed the consequences of defying Rome. Crowds were fed spectacle, identity, fear, and loyalty. The Colosseum was not only where Rome watched violence, it was where Rome watched itself, its hierarchy, its power, its empire, its myth. Nearly 2,000 years later, the Colosseum is damaged, incomplete, and stripped of much of its original stone and decoration. But it still stands. Earthquakes cracked it, fires scarred it, medieval builders robbed it for materials, time carved away its perfection, and still the skeleton remains. Because the Colosseum was built on more than stone, it was built on Roman engineering, Roman politics, Roman ambition, and Roman control of spectacle. The construction of the Colosseum was one of the greatest architectural achievements of the ancient world, not because it was big, but because everything about it worked. The foundation, the arches, the corridors, the seating, the underground systems, the awning, the symbolism. It was a stadium, a machine, a monument, and a warning. Rome did not just build buildings, Rome built experiences powerful enough to survive history. The Colosseum was not simply constructed to hold crowds, it was constructed to remind the world what Rome could do.